right.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Ben Thomas with UST Training, and today I'm proud to have as a guest speaker John Daintree. John is going to talk about digital data capture for UST service providers and gas station operators. And John, I probably want to throw in UST compliance inspectors as well, because we want the all players in the field to get a bit more comfortable with this data capture idea. And John, I'll have you introduce yourself in a minute. Just a couple of ground rules here, though. John and I will be doing the talking today, and because we have such a large group, we had to go to webinar format. If you do have questions, please use the Q&A feature in Zoom. Type up your question, and I'll be happy to capture those, and we'll save those for the end of the talk today. If there's something you simply have to get out of the way now, raise your hand, but otherwise we'll, I think, save our questions for the end. I met John a couple of years ago. Actually, John was reminding me, it's been about 10 years, and we've been kind of going back and forth about sharing business ideas, but it kind of got me to thinking way back in the beginning. I was a UST tank remover inspector in Vermont in 1986 and 87. I used to go out in the field with a clipboard and a yellow piece of pad of paper, hand write down my notes, bring them back to the secretary. They would type it up, and I'd proof it and then put it in the file. And like, wow, I mean, that just seems like a million years ago. And so what I'm excited to hear more about today is not only the transfer of handwritten notes of important compliance stuff to like a PDF form, but actually be able to store that in a data repository. As many of you know, I do online class A, B, and C UST operator training, and we have a number of certified AB operator, NC operators on the line here. I was thinking also that we actually have a lesson called required paperwork, and I think we've actually are renaming that lesson because the whole concept of paper is really kind of becoming quite obsolete. There's so much to track in the compliance world that having a digital solution in lieu of a piece of paper is becoming, I think, more and more apparent. And also, we're learning more and more states are now starting to have digital download upload portals, and so you can go to the state DEQ webpage and find the portal and upload the important piece of information that you have. So even states are catching up on this data capture idea. But again, so I do online ABC operator training at USTtraining.com. What I think I want to do now is just jump in and introduce John. John, a little bit about who you are and or who you are and what do you do and what we can expect today.
Great. Well, thanks, Ben, and thanks everybody for joining. I'm John Daintree. I run the sales and marketing at a company called ProTechnology. A little bit of a background on me. When I came to the States about 30 years ago, when I immigrated here, I worked for a company called More Business Forms, and they had all those forms that Ben was talking about, and paper forms and 6-part forms and things like that. But with my background in technology and education, I was moved into their technology solutions division, and More Technology Solutions owned about 40% of a little company called up in Canada, not so little, but relatively small company in Canada called JetForm. And when we sold a lot of JetForm, and basically the More North America had a very small delivery team out of Bannockburn, but they couldn't keep up with the technology solutions we were selling in the Western region. So ProTechnology became a delivery resource for More, and that's how I met the ProTechnology folks. And a few years later, I joined ProTechnology and was selling the JetForm solutions. Adobe then bought JetForm, and the JetForm solutions became part of Adobe's central. And then it became Adobe Lifecycle. It rolled into their Lifecycle suite, and it rolled into Adobe Experience Manager, or AEM, and AEM Forms. And for many years, ProTechnology has been an Adobe National Solutions partner. And even in the JetForm days, we were developing software for plugins for the JetForm suite of products. And then once it became Adobe, we continued developing software called JetTrac for the Adobe suite, or the JetForm suite, and then Adobe suite. But as Adobe evolved this, the pricing became very expensive. And so we started developing software that did very similar things to the Adobe suite at a fraction of the cost. And we're still an Adobe National Solution Partner, but really their AEM solutions are for big companies, and most of our business is small to medium-sized companies. So that's really my history, and that's how we came to this digital solutions. And Ben and I, as I said, we met, I don't know, close to 10 years ago, and have been working together on some different projects. And he asked me to jump in and give this presentation on digital solutions and how they can help compliance. So that's really what we're going to do today. The agenda, we'll talk a little bit about compliance and how digital solutions can help. We'll look at how the difference and the benefits of a digital solution over a paper solution. I know we've said that that's becoming a little more obsolete, but we still run into lots of people, and I'm sure lots of people in the audience are still doing paper solutions to do their inspections and things like that. We'll then take a look at what you should look for and kind of the architecture of a digital solution, and then talk about the challenges and hurdles to adopting a digital solution, and then open it up for questions and answers. And as Ben said, if you use that Q&A, Ben will feed me the questions at the end, and hopefully we can cover everything you need. All right, let's talk a little bit about compliance. And I have a feeling that everybody on this in the audience knows more about UST compliance than I do. But, but generally, UST compliance is regulated and can be different from country to country, state to state, region to region. But my understanding is that in the USA, the main compliance and regulatory compliance framework is set up by the Environmental Protection Agency and set out in their Code of Federal Regulations, 40 CFR Part 280 and 281. And these regulations cover most of the aspects of UST, from installation, operation, and maintenance, and to closures of USTs. But it's also very apparent that owners and operators are required to maintain records and report certain information to regulatory agencies. It also looks like every state has their own UST requirements, some of which can be in addition to the federal requirements and more stringent. I know in California, Carbon Cooper, that's kind of an example. But generally, a digital solution can really help with these regulations. But the biggest impact, I believe, is, and really the focus of this webinar today, is on the inspection, record keeping, and reporting requirements.
And John, but before you kind of go into the next slide, one of the maddening, if you've been in the tank business a long time, you know this, but at the risk of overstating the obvious, compliance tracking items can differ from site to site. In other words, so you have like a form, not every piece of equipment is at every UST site. Some stuff is not even permitted that's on the checklist form. Some stuff, maybe a state goes further. But the maddening part about understanding compliance, especially, we've got a couple folks on the line here that are in charge of a lot of tanks in a lot of different states. Compliance can literally vary from location to location. So you can't just take like a template form. You can take a template form and apply it to any site, but you have to have every single thing under the sun on it, and then you have to start subtracting what doesn't apply. So that's just one more of the vexing complexities of the UST program. It's not only the federal regs, the state regs, the county reg jurisdictions, but then there's a site-specific element that is, I've seen sites have been studied a long time and they still fill out the forms wrong because it's an unusual site or the person didn't know how to fill out the form. So that they're just a lot of room for error and a lot of site variability.
Wow, yeah, amazing. All right, so let's kind of move along and talk about how leveraging a digital solutions can help operators improve efficiency, reduce the risk of compliance violations, and enhance the overall environmental and safety performance. So by using digital sensors and monitoring devices, a lot of data can be collected automatically. And this really helps to reduce the risk of human elements and errors, and ensure that the data that's collected is accurate and can be collected in real time. A digital solution can also help ensure that the data is complete and accurate in those manual inspections and data collection where somebody else has to go out and visually do an inspection on them. And once again, the digital solution helps by reducing that human error, the errors that come along with that, by providing a input capability that really helps the person out doing the inspection. And then when it comes back into the office, as you were saying earlier, Ben, it eliminates that double data entry. Somebody doesn't have to rekey everything, which again allows the element of error when you having to rekey something multiple times. Yeah, so once we have this complete and accurate data has been collected, a digital solution can really help by generating the compliance reports that needed to be generated, and it streamlines the whole process and ensures that the documents are accurate and up to date. Most digital solutions will also provide some kind of document management feature, which makes it very easy to organize and store and retrieve the relevant documents, things like inspection reports, maintenance reports, and permits. So it's easy to find the stuff, retrieve it, and share it with whoever needs to have it when they need to have it. Digital solutions can also help to manage routine maintenance tasks and schedule required inspections. So you can have reminders that are automatically sent out or pop up to let you know that this preventative maintenance needs to happen or this inspection needs to be done. And this ensures that all the necessary tasks happen to keep the UST system compliant. Digital solutions will also help track your training and certifications, ensuring that your staff are adequately trained and qualified and have up-to-date certifications. So that's another way it can help. And then digital solutions can integrate into other systems, which really helps streamline that back office process, help you to manage your financial responsibility requirements, and help with the generation and submission of the compliance reports to the regulatory agency or to your customer. So there's multiple ways that digital solutions can help.
So John, to be clear, you could have like a underground tank compliance database and the form could be integrated with that. So you have kind of a gateway between the person filling out the compliance form and the database at the other end. I mean, you can be that middleman, as it were.
Certainly, and that's the beauty. Once you have the data, the options are endless. Data, big data. Once you've got the data, what do you need to do with it? And that's the beauty of a digital system, as opposed to a paper system when the data's on paper somewhere. All right, so we'll jump right into that. What are the benefits of a digital system over a paper system? Now, there's always going to be some kind of investment in moving off paper to a digital solution, but in the long term, the benefits of efficiency, accuracy, and overall operational improvements generally outweigh the costs of moving to a digital solution. Digital solutions really help enhance productivity and make it easier to ensure compliance. So out in the field, the digital solution can really streamline the whole process, making it easy for the field techs to efficiently capture data on any kind of mobile device, a tablet, a smartphone, a laptop, really make it easy for them to capture this data. And it gets rid of all of the issues with paperwork and handwriting. Handwriting is often illegible. When people have to write stuff down, they will not be won't give the full notes. They'll keep it as short and as sweet as they can, which a lot of our customers say that's a big help, is getting these robust notes that really give a full picture of what's going on. With a paper system, people often forget to fill in a field or leave out a field or miss a field. The paperwork itself can get lost. There's all these issues with paper that you don't have with a digital solution. And the digital solution will really help reduce the overall time of that inspection because you're giving them a smart interface in order to collect this data. The person in the field is much easier and much quicker in general. things like pre-populating the fillable form or the input interface with data you already know. So, they don't have to rekey data and, re-enter data in several different pages or things like that. You've already pre-populated the form with that. You can have things like drop downs with the correct 3 answers. So you pick one rather than, I'm not sure what the answer is and let me write this in. Calculations, you can build the calculations into this interface. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, rather than having a calculator and doing all the working it out and then does that fit within the tolerance? Does it pass or does it fit? You can build all of that into the form. So the guy puts in the initial reading and the final reading and the rest of the calculation is all done. With some instances, you may need to capture photographs of something that's wrong or things like that. If you've got a paper system, you've now got to take a photo and somehow marry that photo up with this piece of paper and get it back. With the digital solution, you can build this all into one cohesive paperwork that's digitally moves around. So it's all stays together. And then, once you've collected all this data, then you've got to submit that back to the office. So if it's paper form, somebody's got to drive in and hand it in. With a digital solution, you hit the submit button and it's electronically transferred up to the office. So, that's a huge improvement. We worked with a group that did inspections in multiple states, and their office was in the one state. And so their field techs had to, at the end of the week, get all this paperwork together and FedEx it in to the office. So not only does it take a long time, there's the FedEx costs as well. So, that can, all those can be issues with paper solutions rather than a digital solution. And then in the office, there's no double data entry. Nobody needs to rekey data into a system or into a form that needs to be submitted. It can all happen, it can all be automated. So, it saves a lot of time, reduces the errors, and the paperwork never gets lost with a digital solution. With paper solutions, sometimes it doesn't make it out the tech's truck, or it gets put on a desk in an office or left in the coffee room, and somebody knocks a cup of coffee over it, and that's, that paperwork's done. So digital solutions help over paper with things like that. Digital solutions also really improve the integrity and accuracy of the data that's collected. By using those things with like calculations that are built into the form and pre-populating with last inspection data or with information we know, so they can quickly see if there's a big difference between the last inspection data and the current inspection data, and make sure that they took that reading correctly or looked at that, things like that. You can make sure they're required fields, so you cannot submit the package back unless you've collected all the data, which doesn't happen on paper form. So it really just ensures consistent and accurate data with a digital system that you don't get with a paper system.
I was reflecting, John, years ago, I worked with a company and they were using paper forms, but there were certain fields that like no one answered correctly, but there are only so many answers. And I was thinking, like a simple drop down is either A, B, or C, and they're right. So the simple things like that, I think, can go a long way to trying to corral in blank fields, right?
100%. That's exactly right. So you make it as easy and efficient and accurate that you can't do with paper forms. Exactly right.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, so, once you've collected all this data and it's accurate, the system then can automatically generate the reports that are needed, which is a wonderful thing. It speeds it up, saves some time. There's no errors, and you've got these reports that you can very easily then share with the regulatory agency, with your customers, or any of the shareholders that need to see them. And a digital solution also really helps collaboration amongst, team members on the inspection team, between the field and the office, between the office and the regulatory agency, if you're a service provider, between the office and your clients. So, multiple people can get to this data at the same time and, really from anywhere, which is very hard to do with a paper solution. And then that document management piece that most digital solutions offer make it so easy to store, retrieve, and share that data, which you cannot do with a paper form. If the inspection data's come back and is stuck in a filing cabinet in Fresno, and I'm in Sacramento, a little tough to get to that data. Whereas with a digital solution, typically you can get to that data from anywhere. All right, so digital solutions can also, really significantly help with cost savings over time by reducing the paperwork, the printing, and the storing of that paper. Can really help reduce costs with a digital solution, and also just the improvement in operational efficiency, and can help potentially contribute to reduced labor costs and an overall improvement in resource utilization that you don't get with a paper solution. And then assuring regulatory compliance. With a digital solution, you can build in checks and validations to make sure that regulatory requirements are adhered to. You can really help avoid compliance issues and ensure that inspections are conducted in accordance with the relevant standards, and make sure that there's no missing data, and ensure that the right reports are generated and submitted. All things that are harder to do with a paper solution. So this is not so much for the gas station owners and their inspection, but for the UST service providers, you can also really improve customer service with the digital solution versus a paper solution, just by providing your clients with faster and more transparent reporting, and even give them a self-service option. So you can allow them to get access to their inspection reports and UST inspection reports through a self-service portal. And this can often really improve customer satisfaction. All right, so we're going to move on and kind of talk a little bit about the architecture of a digital solution and what you should be looking for when you're looking at a digital solution. All right, so here we go. The first thing is you've got to be able to get that paperwork out to the people that are needing to do the inspection, whether you're a UST service provider doing, the inspecting the underground storage tanks, or whether you're a gas station owner. So if you've got some kind of dispatch system today, you want to make sure that the digital solution you work with or you choose will integrate with your dispatch solution. And there's, that's got to give you a way to put in all the information, assemble that document package that the inspector needs, and get it out to the people in the field. If you're a gas station owner, you've got to be able to get them that monthly visual inspection report. So you could either do it through the dispatch system, or you could have something like a QR code on the counter at every gas station, and the once a month the guy just scans that QR code and it'll take him to the correct form that he needs to complete. And if you guys on the webinar take your phones out and pop up the camera and scan this QR code, it will give you a feel for the kind of data capture interface a gas station operator could use for their monthly visual inspection report. All right, so it should take you to this report, and just to give you a bit of a feel of what can be done and how easy you can make it for your operators. All right, so once that form is dispatched out, the solution should be able to assemble that package, make sure it gives you the correct ones. As you said, there can be different ones for different sites. So if it's at that site, you could have customized that form package for that site and get it out to the guys in the field. For service providers, you may be interested in making sure that that dispatch solution can update a calendar, like a shared calendar, so you can see where your field technicians are at a glance by having different colors for the field techs and show where they are. And then for the individual field technician, his personal calendar should be updated. And when he clicks on a job, it should give him information on how to get whatever you need in there. You could be directions to the site that he's driving to. It could be a link to all the jobs he has to do that day or that week, or it could be directions to the nearest hospital from that site. I know some states need that for their UST inspection guys. They've got to know how to get to the nearest hospital, things like that. So, integrating with calendars is an important thing that you may want to consider, and that should be available in a digital solution. The quickest and easiest way to get stuff out to your field techs may often be just to email it to them. So in an email, you should be able to have control over what you have in the email. Once again, directions and to the site or to the hospital, and maybe have the package attached to the email so they can quickly get it. But maybe also give them links to all the jobs that they need to look at, or that mobile interface that they want to be completing. So whether you're a service provider or a gas station, you could email this every month to your store manager, and he could quickly click on that link and get that interface that he needs to complete in order to complete that inspection. But for the service providers, they also may want to have a kind of a job center, which gives them an idea of all the jobs that tech needs to do that day or that week, and they can very easily get to it from their mobile device. Now, some of the service providers and also gas station operators, their guys might be used to filling in a form. So if that's the case and they'd rather stay that way, the digital solution should provide that option as well. The option to have a fillable form that can easily be filled in, once again, pre-populated with information you already know. You can build the calculations and things like that if necessary into these forms. But these are the options. Do you want to have the form look and feel like the paper form to make it easy for them to continue doing that? Or do you want to have more of a mobile interface that they can complete? And when they do complete this mobile interface, all that data should then be populated into these forms. So you have those forms. So these are the options that are out there with the digital solution that can allow, make it streamline the whole process. All right. So then when the form from the field, whether it's from the gas station itself or from the service provider's field tech, is submitted back, that's what we were talking about, Ben, is that you now have that data. And with that data, you can really do whatever you need to do. The first thing you may want to do is send it down some kind of workflow. So there may be a supervisor that needs to review it before it's approved, or say, hey, you left this out, send it back to the field tech and say, hey, make sure you complete this area if you haven't made that a required field. The forms can then, as we were talking about earlier, generate whatever reports you need. So the report that goes to the regulatory agency, maybe a different report for your customer, a different report for the accounting department, whatever it is, you can generate those because you have the data, and you can generate those and then store that into some kind of document management solution. So it's very easy to retrieve, find and organize and retrieve. If you don't have a document management system like Documentum or FileBound or M-Files, you can put it into Google Drive, which is a very cost-effective document management system. And because you have the data, you should be able to name these different reports, whatever you need from that data, so they're easy to find and search for. And you can even create different folders for everyone. And this can all be automated. So storing this information can be very easy to do. You can also grab data that you need, little pieces of data, and update a spreadsheet of some kind. This is just an example of the labor that the field technician was on site for. So it's kind of putting in his hours that he was on site. But, you have the data, you can grab it and you can put it into any, slice it and dice it and put it into any kind of spreadsheet you may need. As we were talking, if you're integrating into a back office system, you may want it in an XML format, which is very easy to do. And as I said, I've seen some regulatory agencies asking for data to be given to them in this Excel format, so they can very quickly submit it into their back office systems, or it can be in a CSV file. Really, however you need to use that data to integrate into other systems or generate reports, you can make that available with a digital solution. And then Obviously, you can generate the PDF reports that can be stored and shared and emailed around or put into the document management system. So really just gives you so much flexibility with how you store and share that data. Digital solution, much better than a paper solution for that. And these are the things you want to consider when looking at a digital solution. Do you want to generate an invoice to send if you're a service provider and you need to send an invoice for that work? Well, you can integrate with Sage or QuickBooks and very quickly generate this invoice automatically that your accounting department can review and then submit to your customer. So these are things that are available and you may want to consider when you're looking at a digital solution. And then the last piece of it here is, how do you get that data that you need for the dispatch into the system? Well, does it integrate? You've got to be able to manage all your customers, manage your field technicians, manage the different forms packages they use or the different gas stations that you have. So there's got to be a way to do that. And a digital solution, you want to make sure that the digital solution you look at has that available. Maybe it can integrate with QuickBooks and update your customer data from there. That's an option. But you also want to manage those dispatches or those forms. So if you've dispatched work out, you want to see when it went out and when it was returned, and you can very easily do that. And here's a sample showing that these two weren't returned. So you can quickly call that field tech and say, hey, you haven't returned this paperwork, hit the submit button. Even better, you can set up an automated reminder. Send him an email. If it hasn't come in by 4 p.m. on the day it was dispatched, he gets an email saying, hey, where's this paperwork? Get it in here. Similarly, if you're a gas station owner and you're doing those monthly inspections, you can have all your gas stations listed here. And did that monthly inspection come in? Oh, it didn't come in here. If it hasn't come in by 4 o'clock on the last day of the month, the gas station manager gets a text saying, you haven't done the your 30-day visual inspection. Please get out there and do it and submit it back. These are options that you have with the digital solutions and things that you want to be thinking about when looking at a digital solution. All right.
What's interesting about this, John, I mean, my world is UST compliance, and but what I'm seeing here, this is actually a bundle of compliance solutions as well as business solutions as well as kind of organizational solutions. So it's cool you've been able to kind of pull all three together.
Right. So I mean, yes, the main objective is to stay compliant. But yes, can we streamline the process? Can we make it more efficient? Can we make sure that it is happening in order to stay compliant? So yeah, exactly right.
And before you go, we did have a question about, and I'm kind of curious about this too. Someone asked, is the Veeder-Root TLS 450 considered a digital solution? I would say the 450 Plus is technically a digital solution. Is there room within JetTrac to talk to automatic tank gauges, tank monitors?
Most definitely. If that data can come in, we have access to that data, we can put it and drop it into a watched folder, or there's different ways to do that. But yes, we could grab that and take that data and do what you need with it. Do we need to generate a report? Do we need to look at it and send a email out saying, hey, there's something wrong here, go make sure you get to see it? I mean, yes, there's different things we can definitely do with those automated monitoring devices and sensors. So yeah, I mean, we've been talking to a couple of companies that are looking at doing this. And
okay, that's exciting. And if I can, does the program have compliance testing scheduling potential? I think the answer is yes, right?
The answer is definitely yes.
And is there a way to set up reoccurring events?
Most definitely.
Okay.
And yes, I mean, these are things you want to look for in a digital solution. Can I set up that tracking and that scheduling? So yeah, I get a reminder saying, you've got these 30-day inspections at these customers, you've got these annual inspections at these customers, and you've got these 5-year inspections coming up next month. So you can look at that and quickly go and set those up. If you're a service provider, And if you, so yes, you can definitely, it's all about the data and how do we use that data. So if you know that you did an inspection today, it's due again next year, you can set an alarm to go off a month before, 3 months before. And an alarm in the sense of send an email to your dispatcher, or what do you need? We can, we have the data, so we can, with a digital solution, they should be able to help you with these kinds of things. And yes, these are things to consider, because some off the shelf solutions may not do that. So yeah, these are things to consider, and questions like that, great questions. Those are the questions to ask whoever you're looking at to provide your digital solution for you.
Well, likewise, Victoria had asked, can JetTrac generate a CITLDS report? It's a more sophisticated leak detection monitoring report from the tank gauge. And I believe if your system can talk to tank gauges, Victoria, I believe the answer would be yes.
So yes, I mean, with the caveat, let's get together and have a chat.
Okay,
So
yeah.
understand, I mean, as long as we have access to that data, we can, and we know what that report needs to look like, the answer is yes. So we've got to figure out how do we get access to the data and merge it into the report. But generally, those should be, and thank you for asking the questions. And we have JetTrac because that's our solution, but we're talking about digital solutions in general here, and other people have different digital solutions. So these are the questions you want to ask when considering a digital solution of the people that are providing you with that solution.
Great. Someone had asked, will this information, there's a lot of information going on here, a lot to take in at once. Will the recording be available? We're going to hopefully put the recording up on YouTube shortly. So yes. And Victoria also asked, sorry, John, does your system have the ability to monitor meter drift based on point of sales data? That's a whole, so can your system talk to dispensers to determine if meters are out of calibration? Yeah, out of spec.
We're not doing that out of the box, but
Okay.
I'm not saying that can't be done.
Okay.
It's all about the data. Where's the data coming from? Where is it put? Can we get to it? And what do we need to do once we have access to that data? So,
So it sounds like it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible if we can at least get through the first step of accessing the data.
exactly. Where's the data coming from, and how do we get to it? Or can we take it and drop it into this folder that we'll monitor that folder and look at it every day and generate some kind of report back for you? Sure. And if there's certain triggers, we can generate a specific report. I mean, these are things that are all possible. A lot of the solutions that are offered are very inflexible, and they do specifically this. But with the right companies, the solutions can definitely be customizable or developed specifically for your requirements. And that's kind of what we'll get into. So let's just, we can come back and either get together with people at a different time to discuss these things, or we can try and cover more of them in the Q&A. But
okay,
let's finish up by looking at the hurdles.
Okay.
And I actually cover a little bit of this in these hurdles right here. So there's definitely challenges to picking a digital solution. There's always going to be an initial investment in some kind of software to do this, but there may also be an investment in hardware and in training. And with small businesses or organizations that have limited budgets, these can be a challenge. And so things that you want to be thinking about when you're looking at this, there are options of a subscription SaaS model for a lot of these solutions, and that may be a little bit more affordable. Also, if you've had your employees that are very used to working with paper, they could resist change. A lot of people resist change. So you may need to invest time in educating them and demonstrating to them the benefits of the solution in order to gain their buy-in. And there's always going to be some training on the system on how to use it. So the people that are using it, you're going to have to invest some time in training them on how to use it. Ideally, you want to find a solution or design the solution so that the learning curve is as small as possible and the training is minimized and it's easy for them to use. And that's the whole idea. But these are things that can be hurdles and to think about when looking at a digital solution. We've spoken a lot about the integration with existing systems and how that can be a benefit, but that can also be a challenge. And that's what a lot of these questions are about, you know. Can it integrate with this system, or can I get this data and generate that? So these are the things you want to think about and ask when you're looking at a digital solution. You know, there's definitely can be challenges, but is the system flexible enough to be able to work with what your requirements are? If you have older legacy systems or legacy infrastructure, that can be a huge challenge. You know, the system may not work with Windows 2000. You may have to upgrade to a more current operating system. You may have to invest in some hardware. You know, the hardware that you have, that old server that you have, just isn't big. It doesn't have the capability or the power to work with the digital solution you're looking at. So these are all things to think about that can be barriers or, you know, challenges, but ask the right questions and you can figure that out. A big thing with a lot of these off-the-shelf systems is that you have to be online for them to work in order to, you know, enter the data. And if you're in a remote area that has limited internet access, or your guy has to crawl in a hole where he doesn't have any internet access, that can be a problem. So, you know, make sure that the solution that you choose will be able to work offline as well. So as long as the data has been delivered to the device he's working on in the morning when he's in his home office or stops at the Starbucks, once he's out in the field, if connectivity is lost, the solution will still work. He can still do his job, collect all the data he needs to collect, and then as soon as he stops at the Starbucks for lunch, that data is submitted back to the office. So these are things to think about, you know, connectivity, and does the solution work online and offline, especially if you're in a remote area where you have internet issues. Talking about customization, that's back to kind of some of those questions. If you have specific regulatory requirements or unique inspection processes, can the system be customized to work with the way you do your processes? These are things to really consider, and that can be challenges, but if you consider them and ask the right questions up front, you can hopefully choose the right solution. And then compatibility, you know, will it work on every device? I've got 10 guys that use laptops, 3 guys that are on iPhones, and 2 guys that are on tablets. Will it work with it for everybody? Things to think about. Will it, you know, hey, the solution was designed to work on an Android phone, but my guys all have Apples. Will it work? Is the solution so good that it makes sense to buy everybody an Apple phone, or, you know, do we want to find another solution? So these are the challenges and things to think about when looking at digital solutions. And then we touched on this before, but, you know, how does the regulatory agency want to accept that data? Does it need to get it in paper? Well, that's fine, as long as your system that you choose can print out a piece of paper at the end and give it to him, that's fine. But more importantly, they may be saying, hey, we need to get PDF data, and you need to send us a PDF. Well, can you do that? Can your solution do that? In the future, they may say, we want to get XML data. So is the solution that you're looking at flexible enough to be able to produce that XML data and submit it to the regulatory agency or the customer in the format that they want? So despite all these challenges, most organizations that move to a digital solution really find that the benefits outweigh the initial costs. You know, the increase in efficiency, the improved accuracy, the streamlined processes, and the time and cost savings way outweigh the costs and hurdles that they have to overcome in order to adopt the digital solution over a paper solution. But the key is to ask the right questions up front. Make sure that the solution will work for your requirements, is flexible enough that it will be able to handle the way your regulatory agencies want to have the data sent to them, and make sure that the the company that you buy this digital solution from has been around a long time, and it will be there to give you the ongoing support that you need in order to make sure that the solution will work for you today and into the future as different requirements may change. All right, well, thanks for listening to my story. Let's open it up to, if there's any more questions, we can go from there.
I did have a question from Ed. Who creates the form in JetTrac? Is that on the customer side or your side?
Well, typically when we do it, we get the form that the customer needs and we adapt it to work with our system. So we either make it a fillable PDF form that we can grab all the data and do whatever we need with it, or we develop that mobile interface that can then push that data into the PDF. So you do end up with a PDF at the end, but also we have the data. So typically we do that. We have got some customers that do their own customization. We can train them on how to do it. But yeah, that's something to consider. Generally, people don't have the IT department and want to hand that off to a company and say, make it work for me. These are the forms I need. Make them work for me. But we do have some customers that can be trained and they can develop the forms themselves. So either or, but yeah, something to consider when you working with a company to get a digital solution.
And another question, so your system identifies the state where the work is being done, then gathers the required data, then transfer the data to the required form, question mark?
We can definitely do that. So, you can, when you're doing a dispatch, you can pick the state and it can grab the correct state package and pre-populate it with forms. So the answer is yes, we can definitely do things like that. So and it can go even further, but these are things that you work out when you're setting up the solution. But yes, you can identify the state or the form package or the inspection type. You might say it's a 30-day vapor recovery that we need, and it can grab, the correct package for that inspection.
Ed, I think let me know if I posed your question correctly. I want to make sure I understood that. I think, John, too, I mean, if someone has other, I don't know, stage 1 vapor recovery, food safety. I mean, I know I'm here to talk about UST compliance and how to make it better, but it sounds like there's if you run a chain of convenience stores, you've got 10, 15, 20 different agencies to keep happy. I'm guessing you could fold all those different non-UST requirements under ProTechnology too?
Most definitely. Lottery counts, lottery calculations, or cigarette counts. I mean, we have guys that need to do these things. And so, yeah, they have a form that they're using today, and we adapt that form to work with the system. And yeah, so yes, we can adapt it to whatever. I mean, ProTechnology is a software company. We can, given time and money, we can do anything. But we've tried to find verticals that we can develop a solution for, and with build it once and sell it many times with limited customization, or with, small changes and small customization. But yes, we can, we can really let us know your requirements and we can help you develop the solution for it. 100%.
Great. Jack Hooten has a great question. States regularly change their forms. What is the process when this happens? And before you answer that, I got to say, it's a pet peeve of mine, because as a trainer, I need to know, like, we provide the 30-day walkthrough forms as a complimentary service to our AB operators in a fillable PDF form. So we're a couple steps behind you there, John. They never tell me if the form changes. And so I'm actually actively out there. I got to scan all the states. Not only do I have to scan the states periodically, when I go to a state page XYZ, I can't even find the form. And so there's a little bit of a frustration here. If you're a state regulator and you're listening, and if your form is not, if I can't find it in 3 clicks on your web page, please bring it to the top so it's easy to find. But so how does ProTechnology handle updated forms?
Well, we're not a compliance company in the sense that we'll make sure that you have the most compliant, up-to-date form. That's not our area of expertise. There are companies out there that you can contract with that will do that. They will let you know every time there's a change to certain forms that you may be that you need in your business. But generally, the way we do it is that our customers will tell us, "Hey, this form has changed," and we'll go, "Okay, great. We'll get it up to date and make it compliant and make sure it's working with our system." But we do rely on our customers to tell us that. But as I said, there are companies out there that do that's their kind of what they do for a living, is you let them know, these are the 10 forms I'm monitoring. If one changes, you've got to let me know that it's changed. But we rely on our customers to do that for us. And as soon as they do, we will update that form and make sure it's working with our system.
Right.
And
And for those,
that's how most digital solution companies work.
okay. And for those who take ABC training from us, about every 6 months, we do a national sweep and we update all of our forms. So we try, and we're on as many newsletter state UST agency newsletters as possible. So we do our best to keep up with the form. Sometimes we're a month or two behind. Dorothy Hooper asked, where can I find this meeting so I can rewatch it? We'll be available on YouTube in a little bit. Megan asks, how does the system report deficiencies, issues found during inspection? Are they just indicated on the inspection report? That's one question.
So how do you want me to, how do you want them reported? Ideally, you've bought a digital solution from a company that can adapt to your requirements. So yes, they'll be indicated on the inspection report. But if you want that to trigger something to happen, so if there's a deficiency found, then we want to trigger an email to be sent to the repair manager,
okay,
to make sure he can dispatch a job, a technician out to go and do the repair. That can be done. So, once again, we have the data. Once we have the data, what are your requirements around that data? We can make that work for you,
And then concurrent with that, which I think is an interesting question, also, is there a capability for tracking types of issues noted during inspections and frequency of occurrences of issues? And so now you've got all this data, can we tell that, containment sumps in these counties had a failure rate of, or, I mean, what can you actually do some analytics with all the data you've collected? That's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's the point I'm making. Once you have the data, what do we need to do?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
do we want to run an analytics on it? I mean, is this something that we would do, or can you send it to if so the answer basically is yes. That's the beauty of a digital solution. It gives you the ability to do this kind of thing. You can either contract with the company that you purchased the solution from to try and, if they're flexible enough and can do that, they will. Or you can, use that, you can give that data to, there's all kinds of analytics tools that are available that you can use, different costs and different degree of slicing and dicing. But yes, there's different ways to do that. So the answer is yes, you can do that.
Which gets me to thinking, John, a couple of years ago, PEI, Petroleum Equipment Institute, was working on an initiative to standardize data collection fields to be able to aggregate all this data to really look at some national trends. I need to circle back and see where that initiative is at, because I mean, if everyone were to be gathering this information, we could make some pretty smart decisions based on such a large standardized package of data, as long as the fields were collected correctly and being able to aggregate them all for a single report.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I know our system works with all the PEI forms. We've adapted those forms to work with our solution. But yes, I mean, it's something we should maybe talk to them about. And I know, we're a PEI member, and I do talk to them regularly, as you are, Ben. So that's maybe something we should bring up and say, hey, are we capturing all this data? Should we put it somewhere and slice it and dice it and do some analytics on it? That would be helpful to PEI and their members.
That's great. Comment from Brett Smith from Montana. He took my comment seriously. We will make the form more available on our webpage. Brett, I wasn't picking on you. I think Montana does a pretty good job of that. Are there last question, then we'll kind of wrap things up here. Are there existing UST digital management systems that can be shared as successful examples? Have regulatory inspectors been receptive? Maybe let's start off with regulatory inspectors, because I know there are some inspectors on the line. How has it been keeping the regulators satisfied with the record keeping requirements?
Well, in my experience, the regulatory agencies need to be kind of agnostic and not promote one solution or the other. I think that's,
Oh, no, I guess I meant more receptive to digital solutions versus paper.
Yes, we've definitely, I mean, we've been working with one, because they used to only take it in paper form, then they went to PDF, and now they're looking at going to XML data. And so we've been working with them to make sure that we can submit it to them in the format that they need. So regulatory agencies are slowly thinking about how can we make this easier on ourselves? How can we streamline this process on our end? So, generally, I think they're not, as long as you've done the issue, then they don't care how you've done it. They just want, this is how I need to receive it, is generally what they put out there. But I think they work with the community a lot and figure out what's the easiest ways. And for most of them, they'll take it in different formats. They'll say, hey, you can get this to us in one of these three ways, we're happy to take.
Right. And then I think if people want digital management solution examples, they should maybe talk to you directly. Reggie Robertson says regulators love it, no pencil whipping.
Yeah.
I know that when I started doing online training versus live training years ago, maybe the analogy of old school, new school kind of thing. A couple of states, like, they didn't want it at all. They're like, this is never going to happen. And in a number of states, we've been able to transform that now. Everyone, so yeah, I think it can just be kind of a slower adoption process. Went a couple minutes over the hour, John. That was a great presentation. I learned an awful lot myself, and I appreciate that. Here's John's contact information. Please take a picture and reach out to John if you got questions about Class A, B, or C operator training. Feel free to give me a shout, and we'll be hopefully getting some more great speakers throughout 2024 as we try to unpack all these new ways to improve UST compliance. And John, parting comments to say?
Well, first of all, thanks for everybody for attending and listening to me for almost an hour. And thanks, Ben, for inviting me and having me. I appreciate it. And yeah, anytime we can work together, that I always enjoy that. And we're a good team. And yeah, anybody that has any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. And if it's something more related to Ben, I'll always push you back at him.
It's a little ways off. Both John and I will have booths at the PEI NAC show in Las Vegas this October. I'll be at the Sigma Spring Conference conference in Austin, Texas in May. And but yeah, if you need to reach us, you've got our contact information. I'll be sending everyone a link afterwards once the video has been complete recorded and put up on YouTube, and we'll stay in touch that way. In fact, I'm going to turn off the record button.
Thanks.